Hello everybody, I'm Troy Baker, back again, but this time we're reacting to the Arkham series. How many characters have I played in the Batman universe? One. A lot. It's so hard to choose a favorite, but I gotta say, playing the Joker is a lot of fun. So much about playing Batman is about how you can be restrained. You know, you can get angry every once in a while, but too much, and it's just you lose the character. Playing the Joker is the exact opposite. Being able to just be unhinged, unrestrained, getting to be the flag that flies in the wind, knowing that you're anchored to the pole. Like that's a lot of fun. Every character I think in Batman exists to be somehow a counterpoint to Batman. You could be this. There's one thing that's preventing you, Batman, from being me, Joker, and that's just sheer will. It's the choice that you make up about which mask you're going to put on every day. There was trauma that defined Batman's life. There was trauma that defined Jason Todd's life. It's some tenet of stoicism. It's like we don't control what happens to us. We simply control our reaction to it. And that is exactly who Jason Todd is. It's no matter what, I'm going to make you feel what I felt. I'm going to make you experience what I experienced. And I will let the single most traumatic thing that has ever happened to me define me and justify every action. Playing Two-Face or Harvey Dent has been a lot of fun as well. First of all, because like the first time that I got to play him in Arkham City, I wasn't even brought in for that role. I was brought in for just like a normal, hey, I think I may have been brought in to play Nightwing. It had like 6 lines. But Colette Sunderman, who was the voice director on that, was like, hey, do you think you could do this character as well? And she knew what she was doing. And I was like, Two-Face? Absolutely. And so being someone who grew up watching the animated series, still watches the animated series to this day, I just did Richard Mall, and to me, Kevin Conroy was the best, to me, adaptation of both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Mark Hamill was the print for the Joker. Richard Mall was the print for Two-Face. And so I just kind of did my best impression, I guess, of that. When we first recorded all the sessions for Harvey Dent and Two-Face, they were listed differently in the script. And so there'd be some lines that were Harvey and there were some lines that were Two-Face. And they said, do you want to do these separate? I was like, no, they have to be done the same way. They're like, why? I said, because that's the way that it is with Harvey. It's not 2 different conversations. There's a switch that happens. And I was like, if we don't get that, then we're not doing the character. So for me, Harvey is the sense of justice, and Two-Face is the ends justify the means, and it's going outside the bounds of that justice. So they're 2 totally different characters to me. Playing Two-Face has been an amazing challenge, especially in Arkham Shadow. Jason Todd is a uniquely important character for me personally within the Batman world, because it was the character that brought me back into comic books. I grew up, reading Batman, and I fell off of it. The entire thing was Batman's off just like relentlessly badgering and beating up people, and Dick Grayson comes back to the Batcave and he's having this conversation with Arthur, and he stops in front of what was Jason Todd's suit, and he was like, he hasn't been the same since Jason. I was like, who's Jason? Like, I completely missed that entire arc, and so I got to go back and read Death in the Family, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, there was a Robin that died? And then finding out why that happened, it's just like, it's one of the most intriguing things ever. So when we came back to do Arkham Knight, Paul Crocker, who is the lead writer on it at the time, goes like, good news and bad news. The bad news is I'm going to fire you as Two-Face. The good news is I want you to play Jason Todd. And to me, that was like, man, the poetic justice of me being able to play this character was amazing. I love the Jason Todd that we have in Arkham Knight. I had the great honor of knowing Kevin and becoming friends with him and getting to share stories and mainly hear his stories about his life and being Batman, and how that role had changed his life, and some of the opportunities that he had seen because of it. And he was a deeply philosophical and artistic and wonderful, gentle soul. And I'll never forget the first time we worked together was on Arkham City, and I was doing some of those lines as Robin and Nightwing. And we're in a studio, and we're recording together, and he's on one side of it and I'm on the other. And Mark was actually outside waiting to do his stuff. And I come in, and Kevin's got this huge script in front of him. He's like shuffling through the papers because he's got so many lines of dialogue, and I've got 2 pages because I've got this much. And we're waiting for them to get set up in the session, and I look over at Kevin and I go, hey man, I hate to do this, but and I start off with that fan vibe, and he just kind of looks at me over his glasses, and I said, there was an episode of the animated series, you probably don't remember it at all, but it was, Batman wakes up and somebody else's Batman and his parents are still alive, and I'm in it, and he's just looking at me. I'm like, oh no, you didn't. You fanboyed out on him. And he looks at me and goes, "Perchance to Dream. It's my favorite episode too." And I was like, the greatest moment of my life. Greatest moment of my life. And that was Kevin. Kevin knew how to tell a perfect story. He knew how to receive that fan energy graciously and then return it and make it even better. Favorite Batman game that I've been in? I'm going to give love to Arkham Origins because I feel like the challenge that studio had, Warner Brothers Montreal had, was a big one. You're stepping into, and I understand this as an actor, when you step into the shoes of a huge, wildly successful franchise, one of the highest rated games of all time. Arkham Asylum is such a great graphic novel. I had no idea how they were going to adapt that into a game, and they did, and it was amazing. And then they one-upped it by coming out with Arkham City, which just took that small experience, that very insular kind of almost claustrophobic experience of Arkham Asylum, and then blew it out into all of Gotham, and making it this huge game with all of the side quests and the trophies that you could get. And then to bring it back to Arkham Origins and go, one night. It's one night. And to see the origins of these characters, and not Crime Alley, but like year 2 Batman, year 2 Joker. Like, to me, that is such a unique thing. And it was such a wonderful story. I think Roger Craig Smith does an amazing job of kind of carrying in the ethos of who the Batman that Kevin authored, and being definitely the successor to that. Roger, to me, is the heir apparent for Batman. So yeah, I think that Arkham Origins is, to date, the one that I love and laud the most. Right on the heels of that is Arkham Shadow. I think Arkham Shadow has one of the best stories. It has one of the simplest stories. And I think that it is a unique thing to, just like we did with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, is like, how can we make you Batman more? And that is, for you to actually throw the punch. The gameplay of Arkham games is some of the best. Like, once you actually get that rhythm down, and you know how it is to time all your punches, and you get so many combos, and you just see that number start clicking up and clicking up and clicking up. That is amazing. To be able to go, great, now let's do it in VR, where you are actually bringing them to you. You're throwing that punch. You're counter punching. It is incredible. And I think the story might be the best story that has ever been done in an Arkham game. We prepared for that game in a way that I've never prepared for any other project before. And there was this amazing clinical psychologist named Dr. Eric Bender. And this guy profiles characters for, like, not a living, but as a hobby, because he just loves fictional characters so much. And he will break down the psyche of a character and show you what's actually happening from a clinical perspective. And so we would meet twice a month, and I would have a therapy session, essentially, as Harvey Dent. And we would talk about the character. We wanted to have a real conversation about mental illness and what this actually meant for someone like Harvey Dent to be experiencing this kind of psychopathy. And it was incredibly enlightening, and I feel like you see it in the performances. Plus, it was the first time for me to actually do performance capture in an Arkham game. So it was us. It was Roger Craig Smith as Batman, and it was all of us. Incredible. Mark Ralston did an amazing job as Gordon. We had this amazing cast, incredible cast. Elijah Wood as Scarecrow. It's like insane, the cast that we had, and we got to actually shoot it like we would, The Last of Us or any other kind of performance capture game. So it's a unique project for me as well. I have such a soft spot for Batman Begins. It's a real toss-up between Tim Burton's '89 Batman and Batman Begins, because to me, those were, I grew up watching, not contemporaneously, of course, but watching, 66 Batman and Adam West and Burt Ward. And then you had all of the Justice League cartoons that happened subsequent to that. So I had this image of camp and romp that Batman was. It was the sock pal. And then all of a sudden in '89, Tim Burton goes, or we put this whole new twist on it, and we really bring out what it means to be in Gotham. And for it to be this gothic, dark, looming shadows, to represent Bruce Wayne and Batman in a completely different way, which is what Michael Keaton did. And that score from Danny Elfman. A friend of mine tells the story that, when they were doing scores, you never had you couldn't just mock up something in a computer and send it to someone as a demo and go, this is kind of what it's going to sound like. We're going to record it with a real orchestra. No one knew what that score was going to sound like until they were in front of the orchestra and heard it played for the first time. So Danny Elfman's agent at the time heard that first cue of and he was like, film scores will never be the same again. This will be a defining moment for how music is and how score is treated in films. And the same thing happened with Chris Nolan when he did Batman Begins. It's like, wait a minute, we can redefine this again, and it can now look completely differently. We get to see this vulnerable Bruce Wayne, again played by someone that I never thought would play that character. So those two are really, they vie for first position for me, hands down. I think the best Batman has still been Michael Keaton. I don't want just nostalgia to paint that, but to me, there's just something about that Batman to me that still rings true. I think he was the most laconic. I think he just got the shadowy batness of it. I think the best Bruce Wayne, Kilmer's Bruce Wayne, to me is pretty top. Clooney on paper should have been. Clooney on paper should have been the best Bruce Wayne. I know you could look at Robert Pattinson and say what he did was actually really good. I'm like, yeah, for that version of it, it's pretty incredible. But the best mix, the best Bruce Wayne and Batman is still Kevin Conroy, hands down. I mean, I'd love to say that I would make of the three options, I don't think I would make a good Batman at all. I think I could make a decent Joker, but that's really terrifying with the recent competition. I think that there's something that I could bring to Harvey that would be I could definitely, if someone was going to give me the opportunity and given the choice, I'd probably say, let me play Harvey, because there's too much expectation with Joker. There's too much predicated for Batman. But Harvey is enough of an amorphous kind of, we could play with that. I think I could bring something to that. Ra's al Ghul could be a fun one to play. Those are my favorite episodes of the animated series. David Warner playing Ra's al Ghul, whatever you want to call him. It's Raj in the animated series.
Father's name was pronounced Raish, not Raz. A common mistake.
Ra's al Ghul is the Moriarty to, if Batman is Sherlock, then Ra's al Ghul is his Moriarty. I love that relationship. I love that he knows that he's Bruce Wayne. I know that he knows all of this, and they're partners as well as they are nemesis. But it's literally just, again, I serve as a counterpoint. I'm willing to take this far. Are you? So that to me would be a fun character to play. Maybe as I get older, I will. I would say that it really, before it was. My first experience of playing Arkham Asylum was so much fun because I was just so surprised that they were able to pull that off. City was huge. Arkham Origins to me was fun to play, but now I would say the Arkham Shadow is my favorite one to play. It's such a toss-up between Arkham Origins and Arkham Shadow as far as which has been my favorite to act in, to be a member of the cast, because that's the first time I got to play Joker. So Arkham Origins, you can never replace that. But then the process by which we did Arkham Shadow was so rewarding and so fun. So it really is those kind of vie for number one and number two.
This isn't the end of me. No. This is the beginning of us.
So every project has its own unique process, right? So if I do a game, there is it has its kind of like own baked in process. A film or a TV show or an animated series is going to have its own process as well. So for me, the one thing that never changes is the goal, which is I need you to believe that whatever we're doing is really happening, that there are real stakes. And did you feel something? Whether it be that you felt fear, one of the base emotions, fear, happiness, joy, or love. Did you feel one of those four things? And to me, it's all about an economy of resources and trust. If I do a game where we're on a mocap stage and I have other actors to work off of, and they've built sets and there's actually cameras, there's a lot of resources that have been given to me that were not necessarily available to me if this was just a VO gig where I walked into a booth and I have a script, microphone, and someone on Zoom. So to me, it's all about how many resources are we dealing with, and how much trust then are we being given or taking from each other in order to achieve the same result. Sometimes it's just my voice, sometimes it's all of me physically, but regardless, it gets all of my heart and all of my mind, no matter what the process is. There are, especially working with Roger Craig Smith, there are a lot of fun moments that we had between Arkham Origins and Arkham Shadow, and all of them would ruin the character for you. From amazing conversations that I've been able to have with Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, to the incredible dedication that everyone at Camouflage had for us working on Arkham Shadow and making it not only as an authentic of an Arkham experience as possible, but an authentic Batman experience as possible. The work is the work, and that's always rewarding. But sometimes the process of the work and stuff that happens off stage and outside of the booth, that to me can be just as rewarding when you're working with people that ultimately all they want to do is make something that as fans ticks every box for them as well. And that's what we did with those games. I have Penguin loaded up on my iPad for my next trip because I wanted all the episodes. I was floored with what I saw Colin Farrell do in The Batman. And I'm hoping that what they do with that series, with the success of it as well, is give me one season of that and then another season of a completely different character, and just give me almost an anthological approach to all of the characters in Gotham. That would be amazing. Thank you guys for reacting with me to the Arkham games. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to find me on social, I'm at official Troy Baker. Or if you like, check out one of these videos.